wish refuah shlema, complete and total healing, to all those whom we have named and to all those whom we hold in our hearts. And at this point, during Mental Health Awareness Month, we've been adding an extra prayer specifically for healing for mental illness. We are using prayers from differing rabbis. This prayer is a prayer of healing for mental illness by Rabbi Elliot Kukla. May the one who blessed our ancestors bless all those who live with mental illness, their caregivers, family, and friends. May they walk in the footsteps of Jacob, of King Saul, of Miriam, Hannah, and Naomi, who struggled with dark moods, hopelessness, isolation, and terrors, but still survived and led our people. Just as our father Jacob spent the night wrestling with an angel and prevailed, may all those who live with mental illness be granted the endurance to wrestle with their pain and prevail night upon night. Give them the faith to know that though, like Jacob, they may be wounded, shaped and renamed by this struggle, still they will live on to continue an ever-unfolding, unpredictable path toward healing. May they not be alone on this path, but accompanied by their families, friends, caregivers, ancestors, community, and the divine presence. Surround them with a loving kindness, with grace and companionship, and spread over them a Sukkot Shalom, a shelter of peace and wholeness. And let us say, Amen. Some notices to let us know about before we return to our liturgy. Torah study tomorrow will be live and on Zoom at 9 a.m. We continue to get a total of about 25 people to Torah study every week. It's the largest Torah study in the state. And it's something we should be very proud of because it is a wonderful, wonderful group. In my previous community, many years ago, we did Torah study once a month and we got 4 people. And it was soul-destroying. Here, we get 25 people or so every single week. And we have such exciting, passionate, caring, intelligent discussion. It really is a joy. And so I really encourage you to join us in person or on Zoom. The topic tomorrow, apparently, I haven't totally finished writing it, is the structure of meaning of Levitical warnings. Is there a hidden structure inside Leviticus's warnings to people in this week's Torah portion? And if there is, why is there? I will lead a text-based discussion on midrashic and modern commentaries on a very challenging section of Torah. Also tomorrow, conservative morning service will be, that's tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. It's slightly longer than our Reform morning service. The conservative service is currently once a month. It's a very popular service. I do encourage you to attend. I do encourage you to see. It's from a different siddur. There's more prayers. It's a little bit faster. It has a different feel to it. It's a really interesting service. So we encourage you to join us for that. And save the date. Thursday, May the 21st. Thursday, May the 21st, starting at 5:30, is our Tikkun Leil Shavuot. This is our largest educational event of the year. Sometimes we get 50 or 60 people to the first session. And this year, the theme is Refuah Shlema, healing of body and of spirit. So, very quickly, at 5:30, the first session is called Why Can't Doctors Go to Heaven? And this is based on, even though a lot of Jews end up in the medical profession, there are actually Talmudic texts and Midrashic texts which say it's really bad to be a doctor. And so why? Why do these texts exist? They actually tell us something about the theology of healing. Where does healing come from? Who is in charge of healing? And so that's going to be a light-hearted but actually very interesting exploration of healing in Judaism. Then we have a vegetarian potluck dinner. We eat like royalty, but, ethical royalty, because we bring enough food. It's a potluck. We bring enough food for ourselves and to share. That's really important. Enough food for ourselves and to share. Then after that, the next session is called Healing Our Souls. That one is more about mental health. That looks at despair and depression and asks, what are differing Jewish approaches to this? Is it something we should be getting rid of? Is it something we should be living with? Is it something that we can use? It's a very interesting, powerful, and probably emotional session. After that is, just to use the local terminology, our world-famous cheesecake competition. And we encourage you to bring a cheesecake and to make sure you put the ingredients so that everyone knows what's in it. And every year somebody wins. We all vote on it. Everyone present votes on it and so on. We vote on presentation and on taste and everything else. And it's a lot of fun. That's around 9:30ish or so. No, about maybe. 8:30 maybe. Then we have healing magic, incantations and amulets. I've done some fascinating reading on this week, including about the synagogue that had an entire stash of amulets buried under the ark. And of the 3 amulets that they opened up, all 3 were healing amulets. Why? What's going on? And why is it that we don't do amulets anymore in modern society, particularly in modern Judaism, when it was so prolific until the modern age? Have we missed something by moving away from amulets? And that will lead us into a discussion of the prayer we just prayed, the prayer for healing. Can you pray for healing? What does it mean to pray for healing? I got in touch with Rabbi Miriam Berger, who was the year below me at the Leobet College, and said, remember your rabbinic thesis on the prayer for healing? Could I have a copy, please? And she sent it to me. She said, it's going to be terrible, I'm sure. It's still really valuable. It's really interesting learning. So we're going to be looking at that. What does it mean to pray for healing? I'll give you a little teaser. Maimonides says that if you are bitten by a snake or stung by a scorpion, then you can, if someone else is, then you can recite an incantation or spell over that wound because you know it won't do anything, but it might make them feel better, right? Which is really interesting because he says, however, if you add words of Torah into it, that's a problem. And so we're going to be looking at what does it mean to pray for healing and what does it mean to have these incantations and amulets. And then, as we go into the evening more fully, and every year it totally depends on the group and on our level of exhaustion and so on, how long we go. When I was a student rabbi, we would go all night. We would go all the way up to Shacharit and so on. Now I'm a little bit older. I'm like, it's 2 o'clock, okay? The final session is called A Cure Worse than the Disease. We're going to be looking at a couple of pages of Talmud in which the rabbis suggest cures for certain ailments, including some which you think, oh, that might be an effective cure, and some which you think, I'm not convinced that would work. For example, if you get stabbed by a sword, eating a particular herb flavored in a particular way probably isn't going to address the stab wound. So why did the rabbis even recommend things that seem so absurd? And so we'll be looking at the role of the rabbi, the role of the healer, the role of the educator. We'll be wrapping it all up, tying it up all together. You don't have to stay until midnight or 1 or 2 o'clock. If you want to, come for the first session, or come for the first session and dinner, or come for the first 2 sessions with dinner and a cheesecake competition. Come for as much as you like. It is a very fun, very exciting thing. So please join us. That's Thursday, May the 21st. And the final thing I want to mention, you may know of it, you may have seen it, you may have contributed to it or taken from it. Up at the top of our site, of our temple site, over the last month or so, we've had a food pantry. And the food pantry is for anyone in need. And this is a fulfillment. Maimonides talked about the ladder of charity. And he talked about 8 different levels of charity. The highest one is giving someone employment so that they no longer rely on charity. The next one down is giving anonymously and the person receives anonymously. And that's exactly what this is. If you have any dried goods, canned goods, or anything like that that you don't need, please, when you're next here, bring them and put them in the food pantry. It keeps getting restocked, in fact, almost every day. I don't know by whom, and it's a rather wonderful thing. And we also see that people take food from it. So if you are able to give food, please put food in there. If you need food, please take food from there. That's really important as well. Nobody knows who it is who's putting in. Nobody knows who it is who's taking out. This is a really important thing. It was suggested by Tiffany, and we brought it all together in the community. It is a wonderful thing. Please give food or take food as you need. We turn to page 278, page 278. We invite you to rise as you are able for the counting of the Omer, the period between Pesach and Shavuot. Our blessing al Sefirat HaOmer. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav tzivanu al Sefirat HaOmer. Hayom shiva u'shloshim yom shehem chamisha shavuot u'shnei yamim la'omer. Today is the 37th day, making 5 weeks and 2 days of the Omer. We invite you to remain standing as you are able as we turn to pages 283, 284 and 287 as we open the Ark for Aleinu. Shema, O Shema, O Shema Echad. Please be seated. As we turn to page 294 and think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, as well as remember those who died at this season in years past, and also those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. And I will share the names of those being remembered by our community. And if I mention the name of a loved one, we invite you to rise and to remain standing as you are able. And after I've shared the names of those being remembered by our community, if you are also remembering someone at this time, then please also rise and share their name. As we are particularly saddened to share this week the passing of Hannah Penrose, and as we remember during their Shloshim, Fagi Marks and Doug Shana. And on their yahrzeits, we remember John Baxter, Esther Bader, Grace Kane, Doreen Decray, Shelley Gerstein, Harris Paul Godelski, Faith Emily Hosford, Martin Kessler, Agnes Kessenbaum, Carl Livingston Sr., Simon Nachbar, Louise Ruth Polkowitz, Anna Schwab, Sylvia Simcha, Bertha Tyson Shabold, Gerald Zieselman, and Sasson Ben Haron HaKohen. And if there's anyone else remembering someone at this time, please rise and share their name. We invite the rest rest of the community to rise in support of our mourners, who on page 294 lead us by saying, Yitgada, Yigada Shemei Rabba, Amen, Be'alma Divrach Yutev Yemlich Malchute, B'chayachon Uvyomechon, V'chayi Derchol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala Vizman Kari V'imu, Amen. Yehi Shemei Rabba Mevarach La'alam U'Lalmei Almaya, Yitbarach V'Yishabach V'Yitpa'ah V'Yitromam V'Yitnaseh, V'Yitada V'Yit'aleh V'Yitalal Shemei Dikudusha Barichu La'ela Min Kol Berchata V'Shirata Tushbechata V'Nechemata Damiram Ba'alma V'imu Amen. Yehi Shalom Araba Min Shemaya V'Chayim Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'imu Amen. Say shalom b'mumar. Huya say shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimu. Amen. Please be seated. Oh, say shalom b'mumar. Oh, ya say shalom. May their memory always be for a blessing. We round off our service on page 330. Thanks again to Jen for wonderful accompaniment. On page 330, even though I said one of the greatest ways to combat despair is to find meaning and purpose, one of the tools on the way there is appreciation. And so once again, we appreciate what is around us, who is around us, the fact that we are able to be here. Abraham Joshua Heschel talked of living in radical amazement, of waking up in the morning and saying, that's extraordinary, that's unbelievable. And it's unbelievable that I can even recognize that it is unbelievable. And part of living in radical amazement is the ability to turn around and say, how lovely this is. On page 330, near the foot of the page. Ma yafe hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma yafe hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Please rise as you're able for our concluding blessing. Yevarechenu Adonai ve'yishmerenu. May God bless us and keep us. Ya'eh Adonai panav eleinu v'chuneinu. May God's face shine upon us and be gracious to us. Yisa Adonai panav eleinu v'yasem lanu shalom. May God lift up the divine presence toward us and always grant us peace. Amen. Shabbat Shalom. Especially for those who are visiting us, it's worth knowing that after our Kiddush and Motzi, we invite you to join us in our social hall and our study hall. We invite you to, they'll turn on the lights and everything, and there'll be food magically there. And we invite you to come and to get to know each other. And for the members of our community in particular, if there's someone you see who you haven't yet met, and then we encourage you to spend some time to meet, to get to know each other. That's how we build community and support each other. On pages 4 and 5 of our Siddur, we find our Kiddush. Vahi erev vahi vokeh yom hashishi, vayechula hashamayim v'ha'aretz v'chotzavaham, vayechal elihim b'yom hashvihi, mlachto asher asa, vayishpot b'yom hashvihi, mekom mlachto asher asa, vayivarech elihim et yom hashvihi, vaykadesh oto, kivo Shabbat mekom mlachto, Asher bara Elohim lasot, Savri Chavrai, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Borei peri hagafen, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, Zikaron lama'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila lamikra kodesh, zeichel etziat Mitzrayim, ki vanu v'acharta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol hamim, v'shabbat kodshecha, b'ahava uvratzon, in chatanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. And we invite you to either come and hold the challah, or hold someone holding the challah, or hold someone holding the challah, if you wish, so that those who wish to are able to connect physically as well as spiritually, as we say our blessing. Thanks God who helps us to bring forth our bread from the earth. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat Shalom.
It's not the first, it's May. What day is today? Yeah, I know, but like what? May 8th.
8th, maybe?
Okay.